Please remember that this matter should be viewed as a solicitation to trade. Trading futures and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. You should therefore carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you in light of your financial condition. Optimus Futures LLC is not affiliated with, nor does it endorse any trading system, methodologies, newsletter, or similar service. We urge you to conduct your own due diligence. Now, here's your host, independent broker veteran and CEO of Optimus Futures, Matt Zimberg.
Hi guys, this is Matt. Today is Monday, so I wish everybody a good trading week. I want to approach today the business of trading from a different angle. That's my goal, is always to give you a different angle to think about trading. I know that you're exposed to a lot of information out there and everybody's going to give you a lot of perspectives and opinions, but I would like to I'm trying to give you a perspective that others might not, which is, again, as I always say, practical and pragmatical. So the question that I always ask is, what is the business of trading all about? Before I approach it and answer it, I want to talk about a few other businesses. And the whole purpose of this podcast is to illustrate that what you see in the front of the business, it's always something that people think of, but they don't really know what's the inside of the business. And I'm going to use some example just to illustrate that. So for example, let's look at the business of restaurants. If you asked anybody out there, what's the business of restaurant all about? If they had to define it in one word, they would probably say food. But in reality, it's inventory. Inventory is very, very important. Now, I'm not saying it's the only variable that's important, but there's a lot of restaurants that fail out there and they have amazing food. And that's because inventory was not managed right, resources were not managed right, people were not managed right. So food is just one component of a restaurant. If you look at the business of news on TV, or all the channels that we're used to, CNN, CNBC, Fox, CBS, regardless of their political affiliation. If somebody said, what's their goal? The goal is obviously to deliver news, but their goal is also to max out advertising. They cannot survive without advertising. And advertising plays a very big role in the information that we receive. So advertising becomes part of the business. If you look at the business of cars, obviously there's innovation, quality, and everything else. But the reality is that car dealerships are in the business of leasing. So they have an interest rate that they borrow their money and they transfer the cost to the consumer. And this is where the profit lies. So management, interest rates, management of cash, interest rates is also an integral part of the business. So now let's talk about trading for a minute. I would say that majority of people, if I ask them, what's the business of trading, especially beginners, they would say it's making money. But there's a lot more to trading. Making money in this business is a byproduct of other things. This is not what the business of trading is all about, at least not in my opinion. If you're successful in implementing certain things, then potentially you might be profitable. And I say potentially. Let's talk and analyze trading and what it's all about. So there's three variables that I think are very important here. One, the business of trading is about decision making. Now, there's a whole philosophy out there about how people arrive at decisions, whether it's SEO, successful people, athletes. Decision making is a field in itself. And this is what trading is. It's a business of decision making based on variables. And if you're not used to making a lot of decisions, you should get used to it when you get into the business of trading. And I would suggest looking at other resources and reading other books that have expertise in decision making. And I hope that it would help you in the business of trading. So decision making is very important. The second thing that I would say that trading is all about is risk. I believe that, including myself, maybe what attracted me to the market in the beginning is reward. Obviously the potential reward of successful trading, but I think that risk is just as equally important. What does it mean, risk? Risk is really understanding how many contracts you may trade. When do you trade? What sort of risk do you take on every single trade before you think about reward? And I truly believe that the people that think about risk first before reward will have potentially have better success in the markets that only think about people. They will have better success than people that think only about reward in itself and downsize the importance of risk. So risk should come first. This is the second variable. The third variable of trading in the markets is commitment to studying the markets on an ongoing basis. There's a lot of occupations out there that are repetitive, and it's doing the same thing over and over and over again without any learning curve. The business of trading is a business where you have to consistently study the markets, and markets change. In essence, yes, they can only go up or go down or go sideways, but how they do it and the percentage of volatility or the ranges that it goes through changes all the time, or how long it can stay up or how long it can stay down at the bottom. Those things consistently change. So if you're in the business of trading, you're in the business of ongoing education consistently. Now, it doesn't mean that you always have to change your method on an ongoing basis, but you definitely have to maybe make slight tweaks or changes and implement it in a way that it's suitable for that market environment. So again, I'm going to repeat what I think trading is all about, the three variables. One, decision making. Second one is risk. And the third one is commitment to studying the markets. The last thing I would say is that any byproduct of trading that you consider could be just as valid. Just because I chose these three, there might be another 10 variables or 5 variables or 1 variable that are equally as important to you as a trader. But the key is not to think about the money first. The key is to think about everything around that is involved in that business in order to get you to the point where, again, potentially you could see some rewards from the markets. I wish you, again, a good week, and until the next podcast. Thank you, guys.
Please remember that this matter should be viewed as a solicitation to trade. Trading futures and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. You should therefore carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you in light of your financial condition. Optimus Futures LLC is not affiliated with, nor does it endorse any trading system, methodologies, newsletter, or similar service. We urge you to conduct your own due diligence.